Hello everybody. Happy fall. My favorite time of year. I hope it's up there for you. I hope it's your favorite time of year also, or at least you're finding fun things to do, having a good time. Along with fall comes some of my favorite food. I love cooking with squash. I love cooking with pumpkin. And then we segue into the holiday. That's a whole nother story. So I'm so excited. We finally made it to fall. So I'm going to do a two-part series where I come up with some really good recipes using zucchini and squash. So this episode, I am going to show you a breakfast, a simple frittata with roasted vegetables, zucchini. And then I'm also going to show you a couple lunches where you utilize zucchini. One is tuna and zucchini cake, like a crab cake. And the other one is a quesadilla. So the first thing you'll want to do is just get you stocked up on some zucchini and butternut squash. The next episode, I'm trying to do episodes every couple of weeks. I may start doing them more often as time permits, but remember, I do work full-time. This is just, I love doing this. I love cooking, and let's face it, we've got to eat. So I might as well bring you along the ride with some new recipes that I'm trying. So the next episode, which should be in 2 weeks, I'm emphasizing butternut squash. I am going to make a lasagna. So you might want to go ahead and grab some lasagna noodles, whole grain if you can find them. And also I'm going to do a cake, a frosted cake, but that's next episode. So I'm trying to get in, with using squash, I'm trying to get in a breakfast, a couple lunches, dinner, cake, but it's going to be a two-part series. And once you get your zucchini, remember I've mentioned, try to always, I cut these up like several weeks ago. Try to always keep some chopped up zucchini or spiral zucchini in your freezer. I also have some onions. You're going to need to chop up some zucchini, onion, tomato, and I've got the oven on at 375. Once you chop those up, I'm not going to show you the chopping. Our focus is going to be more on the recipes themselves. But what you'll want to do first is go ahead, for this first recipe, we're making zucchini frittata. You want to go ahead and chop up about 1.5 cups of zucchini. I'm going to roast this. I'm going to roast about 1 cup of onion, could be white or red, and about 1 cup of, I'm using cherry tomatoes. So you want to go ahead and at 375, roast them for about 10-15 minutes. It just enhances. You don't have to do this. You could throw them right into the egg mixture, the frittata. It just, to me, when you kind of roast nuts and vegetables and anything that you, even garlic, when you roast it, it kind of enhances the flavor. So try it both ways if you want. Experiment. So once you roast your vegetables, and here's what mine look like. So we're going to just throw these into the egg mixture. And actually, we can go ahead and do that now. So I have, this is going to make a lot. So I have, gosh, this is like a 13 by 9. Use a nice, like olive oil or canola, some kind of a non-cooking spray, non-stick. So I'm going to just go ahead and put the roasted vegetables in there. You want about 2 tablespoons of basil. You could use dried. If you do, just use 1 tablespoon. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of fresh. And then I have a light cheddar cheese. You could use mozzarella, you could use Parmesan. Just cutting it into slices. This is going to be about a cup. Okay, and we're just going to sprinkle it here and there. It'll all kind of melt a little bit. I'm going to put about a clove of garlic. I have the kind that's already minced. Now this is optional, but I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of diced jalapeno. I want a little bit of spice to it. You could also use red pepper flakes. And then just, you don't really need salt because unless you're using regular eggs, I'm using liquid egg whites, which already has some sodium in it. If you're using regular eggs, you want to use sea salt and pepper. Just a splash of unsweetened almond milk. Kind of gives it like a creaminess. Want to just kind of stir it up a little. Okay, and then this is going into the oven 375 for probably about 45 minutes. I'm going to use a toothpick in the center, and when it comes out clean, then it's done. And here's the quiche. It almost got too brown. Keep your eye on it after about 35 minutes. I'm going to try to get about 8 portions out of this. Okay, so normally I serve this. You could certainly serve this with a little breakfast sausage or bacon, turkey bacon. I am going to plate it with some mixed grapes. What a beautiful breakfast. Zucchini frittata. I have 2 lunch options today using zucchini. The first one I'm going to show you is a simple quesadilla. And this is done over the stovetop. So you want to go ahead and get a regular skillet lined up, big enough that will hold your whatever size tortilla you have. Give it a spray with, I use extra virgin olive oil spritz. There's Pam, there's a lot of different options. And the tortillas that I'm using, just try to find a nice whole grain that's not too high in fat, not too high in calories or carbs. I am using the high fiber Olay Extreme. Oh, yes. First things first, I have a cup of zucchini, and these I pulled these out of the freezer. I've done some other videos where I kind of talk about keeping in stock some already prepared vegetables. If not, just go ahead and dice a cup of zucchini, a cup of any kind of peppers, and a cup of onions. We want to just get this browned up a little. Kind of on a medium heat. You want them to be a little bit brown, but not burn. Something else I'm going to put in this. This is optional. I'm putting in chipotles, just a little. These can tend to be kind of hot, so I'm just going to. It's chili. Chipotle chilies and adobo sauce. I actually probably should go ahead and cut this. So I'm taking 1 chili and I'm going to cut it up. Smoky heat. But again, this is optional. You don't have to add it. It is a little bit of heat though. This is what you want to see, just where it's you've basically cooked all of the moisture out of it, because you don't want a runny quesadilla. And you just kind of gave the vegetables a roast. So I'm going to transfer this back so that I can start my quesadilla. I'm going to hit it with a little more of the spray. You want to take one of you're going to use 2 quesadillas for each one. So you want to go ahead and again keep this on medium heat. And here's the cheese that I'm using. Just use any kind of a light cheese. This is Trader Joe's Mexican blend. It's really nice. You could use cheddar, you could even use mozzarella for this. So what I'm going to do is just put about half of the mixture on here. Kind of spread it out to where all of it has some. I'm also going to add, this is optional, but I'm also going to add a little cilantro. And I'm using a cup of the cheese, but remember I'm making 2 quesadillas. So I'm going to go ahead and use a half of a cup. And just spread it around, edge to edge. And I'm going to top this with a little more cilantro and a light sour cream. So once you get this assembled, you want to use the second tortilla. Kind of push down without, don't burn yourself, but you want to just kind of push down on the, try to let the cheese kind of incorporate with both of them. This is where you'd also want to just barely lift it up, make sure it's not getting too dark. I've also reserved a little bit of lime. You can also squirt a little lime on it. And I'm going to serve a little bit of lime on the side. Just flip it over. Okay, and then I'm just going to use a regular pizza cutter. And you could cut it any way you'd like. I'm just going to cut it into 4 pieces. This would be a great appetizer or a great lunch. And it reheats really well. You could also just serve it room temperature or cold. Just going to serve it with some of that sour cream. I'm using light sour cream. A little more cilantro. Little wedge of. Here is what the zucchini quesadillas turned out like. I think they look really nice. I hope you give them a try. So up next, keep your pan out. You could use the same pan and the same zucchini and the same onions. Tuna zucchini cakes. Similar to crab cakes or salmon cakes, but with zucchini and just canned tuna. Stay tuned for that. The last recipe in this part 1 of 2 for squash recipes is going to be the zucchini tuna cakes for lunch or an appetizer. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got about a cup of parsley. Chop that up. And I'm going to use the zest and juice from 1 lemon. Then I'm going to use about a 1.25 cups of zucchini. I chopped them up, but I think they need to be a little bit finer. And these I pulled out of the freezer. And then about a cup of onion. I'm using red, but you could use white or red. Pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt. About a 1/2 cup, well, this looks like more like 2/3 of a cup of egg whites. You could also use 3 large eggs. And I have 2 5-ounce line and pull caught tuna. And I lift the lid up and drain it because I just don't know what's, how long it's been sitting, what all's in this can. About a cup of panko or breadcrumbs. Okay, onto the stove. Okay, remember to get some spray down, non-stick spray. Just gonna kind of form this into, think of like small hamburgers. Okay, it should be time to flip. Let's take a look. So the zucchini tuna cakes are done. I'm going to go ahead and plate them. They browned up nicely. I would probably recommend serving 2 as a good lunch. And this is probably going to make about 10 patties. So how I'm going to serve this, you could serve this with a little plain non-fat yogurt, or I'm serving this with a little sour cream and a little bit of, you could put parsley on it since it has parsley. but I'm putting some green onion, or spring onion as some call it. So here is the last recipe, the zucchini tuna cakes for lunch. So thank you for watching this episode. Remember, this is part 1 of 2. So make sure you tune in a couple weeks from now. I have a really good butternut squash cake that's going to be iced for dessert. I don't do too many desserts, but when I do, I try to make them really tasty. And then I'm also going to have a butternut squash lasagna dinner. So I'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a great couple weeks. Take care of yourself and each other. Bye.